Oh, hey, I'm sorry. Y'all couldn't hear me. Hello, 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 and welcome to another KBBU Behind the Scenes. So, my name is Michelle Green. If this is your first time watching, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Listen, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. Get on our KB. Michelle Green platform everywhere. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. Hey, TikTok in the house. We're on Instagram, Threads. We're pretty much everywhere, all over. And we want to come to you tonight to continue our conversation about Kingdom Builders Business University Behind the Scenes. My name again is Michelle Green, and I'm the founder of the company. Now, we have some other companies that we also are the founder of, but we want to talk about entrepreneurship. So, tonight we are actually discussing entrepreneurship from the perspective of having a significant other. So, how many of us out there are going into business for ourselves and we have a significant other that maybe we had either before we started being a business owner or came alongside us after we started our business, or currently we have somebody in our life that is on the other side, rooting for us, or maybe not rooting for us at all and asking us to go get a job. How many people out there, y'all go ahead and drop this in the comments of whether or not you have a significant other, if you are an entrepreneur, or even if you're thinking about becoming one. So I just want to share a little bit about my story. I actually started being an entrepreneur at the age of 19. When I was 19 years old, I was so interested in finances, and I was so interested in being able to handle my money, manage it well, being able to budget properly, because I always grew up hearing all this talk about, times are hard, money is tight, people struggling, and reasons why I couldn't go to the store and buy the kind of clothes that I wanted, or being able to, go to the store and buy the kind of sneakers that I wanted. Because back then, I was wearing some sneakers back then. If y'all know me now, the ones who do know me, y'all know I only own like one pair of sneakers. However, that might be changing in the near future. Okay. But nevertheless, the thing was that, when I was young and growing up, I heard a lot about money. I heard a lot about not having enough money. I heard a lot about the bills not being paid. And so it just really intrigued my interest to go into the financial arena. And so once I got into the financial arena, I actually started, I would say, God cultivated my whole journey as a young woman. I think about 12 years old, 12 or 13 years old, I was doing a budget for us to take trips to like Six Flags and go on these amusement parks and traveling with my church and stuff. I was really interested in what the financial picture looked like, to make sure that we actually got what we needed, that everybody matched, we all had matching outfits and things like that. So as I grew older and I turned 19, my interest of being in the financial industry really exploded. And so I became a financial advisor at 19. And being a financial advisor at 19, I didn't have a significant other. So it was just me. It was just me. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and, enjoy this opportunity to meet some new people in the financial industry, because in the financial industry that I'm in and have been since I was 19, like there were a lot of traveling that we had to do. There was a lot of training. So you always met people, you always got a chance to go places and do things. And it was just an exciting journey. But one thing I will say as an entrepreneur that I learned over the years, and that is you should never, ever, and I do mean never, ever, have a significant other that you are trying to hook up with in business. Okay. Let me just give you a little disclaimer because I did that when I was early in the game, long before I met my husband, many, 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 many years before. Okay, let me just establish that. But when I did try to intermingle, even though I was only 19 and I was searching for love, I was like, okay, I need to get the hookup. I'm making some money. I'm making more money than the people that I grew up around, and I'm feeling like, I'm somebody. I can do some things, and I was just growing up and I was thinking like, the only thing that's missing is somebody to love, somebody to have a part of my life. But what ended up happening is, I did meet someone and I met someone, in the same industry. Everything was good for a minute, everything was all gravy. And then all of a sudden, what actually happened was, things started to get rocky because we started seeing each other all the time. We were going to the same events. We were having the same opportunities and training and teaching and all of these different things that we had to do as a financial advisor. And so things got really rocky. And then I found out, that this person wasn't the person who I thought they were. And so, this person being not the person who I thought they were, we ended up having to part ways, but it was really difficult. And so, what I want to say about this is you just don't want to be an entrepreneur tied with someone when you're out there initially trying to meet somebody and having that person, be a person that if things don't work out, you still got to deal with that individual. Because let me tell y'all, that was for the birds. That was trash. Okay. I'll kick rocks on that. And he did too. And come to find out, I found out some things about him that I didn't even have a clue about. Like he had a ring that he was hiding. And I'm like, okay, well, we've been dating for months. And how come I didn't know that you had a ring on your finger that was missing? How come I didn't know that your wife was married? Okay. So in entrepreneurship, at the very beginning of my journey, I was searching for love and I was looking at, okay, where's the significant other that I need to bring into my life? Because now I got, my business lined up and I'm feeling, good about the things that I'm doing in my career. And, I didn't have a job back then. I actually did when I first started. And then I transitioned full time into entrepreneurship. And around that time was the time that I met this person, and come to find out after we had been dating for a while that this person was actually married. And then everything just kind of went on pause. So as an entrepreneur, I just want to share with you all that, you really want to be careful about what choices you're making as an entrepreneur, especially if you're not married, if you're not in a serious monogamous relationship, then you want to start to think about, do you really want to be involved with somebody in the same line of work that you're in? So tonight we are discussing like what is it like to have a significant other. So that was one stage of the whole process, right? But then we look at another stage of the process of being in a relationship with someone. And I went through another phase of not being married yet, still before I met my husband, and having the business of being a financial advisor. And then I kind of started to be intrigued by the credit repair services. So I'm also the founder of Kingdom Builders Credit Repair. And before that business was fully established, in the process of me actually thinking about, okay, well, maybe I can start a company. I can actually start a company and, intertwine things about financial advice with this credit repair. And it was so necessary because when I would do financial advising, it would always boil back down to the fact that people still needed basic finance 101. And so I met someone along that route as well. And it became a serious, pretty serious relationship along the way. And in my 20s, it was like, oh, I got somebody, I got business, I'm opening up another business, or I'm testing the waters to kind of see how things go. But as an entrepreneur, I learned that my second phase, I wasn't dating anybody who I was in business with, but I was dating someone who really didn't believe in my vision. I was dating somebody who was like, I don't really care what you're doing as long as, things in our household are running the way that they supposed to run. And the thing was that, I wasn't really feeling that because back then I thought as an entrepreneur that I had to have somebody show up the way that I showed up for my business. How many people out there think the same thing? Are you an entrepreneur and you feeling like this person who you with, you might have been in a relationship with them for a few years and they just can't get on board with what you want to do. So you thinking about leaving. You're thinking about, okay, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I don't want to be around you because you don't have the same vision that I have. Well, listen, guys, in my second phase of being an entrepreneur, I realized that everybody is not going to believe in my vision the way that I believe in it. So I want to just establish this as entrepreneurs. Like, we have people that are going to be a part of our life, and we will have people that will leave our life. But don't establish your relationship off of your entrepreneurship. Don't establish that they have to believe and support your vision the way that you are supporting your vision and that you have your vision. And you're probably thinking like, well, Michelle, I don't really understand why. Why wouldn't I have them support me the way that I'm supporting myself? The reason why is because everybody has a different vision, y'all. Everybody was created for something different. And just because you have found your passion and the things that you want to do, it does not mean that everybody else is interested in you and what you're doing. It doesn't mean that they have to support you. It doesn't mean that they have to buy into your products or your service. It doesn't mean that they have to share or refer people outside of your immediate household. It doesn't mean that they have to get you some clients. It doesn't mean any of that, because this is your business. And I just want to save some households out there, because I know that people are entrepreneurs, and they are out there believing that because this person does not support me the way that I want to be supported, the way that my vision is, we think that, hey, I don't want nothing else to do with you. I don't want nothing else to do with you or your family or your friends or nobody else. But the truth of the matter is that we're not going to have all the time. We're just not going to have everybody believe and support our vision. Now, I'm not saying that if they are standing in the way of you achieving your vision and you being able to be productive and make money and do what it is that you do in your career of your business. Now, if they are doing that, then that's a whole different conversation. We're just talking about the person who, okay, they cool with you doing what you do, but you wanting them to just get on board or come and do the same thing that you're doing, that's not necessarily the right way to go about entrepreneurship. Not in my opinion and from my experience. That's definitely not something that I agree with anymore, even though I went through that process for probably about 7 or 8 years. Yes, a long time, a long, long time in the 20s, going into my 30s. Okay, so that was a significant other in the 20s and 30s. And I learned like, okay, that's one thing. That's two things down. So we got the person who I was in somewhat of a relationship dating where they were in the same line of work that I was in. Then that flipped on over into a serious relationship where I was already in business and then I started a brand new business. And it was tough, y'all, because you have to, really encourage yourself. That was something that I learned that I had to keep going. I could not stop. I could not quit. I could not give up. Every time that I decided, okay, well, I need to go ahead and call these people or put myself out there, because back then, when I started, when I was 19 and in my 20s, like we didn't have social media. So, one of the ways that you would get yourself out there is either like TV, radio, newspaper, or you would just go door to door. I know y'all got it easy these days, but that's okay. That's what I had to do, and I did what I had to do. So I'm saying to you as an entrepreneur, when it comes to a significant other, if that person is not really in your corner, it's absolutely okay. As long as they're not blocking the vision, they're not blocking the dream, as long as they are not preventing you from being able to do what it is that you have been called to do, then keep going. Don't stop. Don't quit. Keep right on going. You don't want to just throw in the towel just because you don't have maybe all of the money and you're looking to them to fund your company, or you're looking to them to come in to the office with you, or to get out and hit those streets. Well, technically now you don't have to hit the streets, but to make posts and share and like and subscribe to your material, your business, that's not necessary. That's not necessary. Now, a lot of people may not agree with me, but I'm just saying to you, like everybody got a different vision. And just because they don't support that, it doesn't mean that you need to break up with them. Okay? So moving right along about significant others, I kept living, I kept going, I kept doing my business. That relationship didn't work, and then I got into a relationship where I had put my business on pause before I met my husband a little bit, one of my businesses. And then I was kind of focusing on, really establishing the entrepreneurship of being a business owner in the arena of credit. So when I first started the credit repair business and really made it legit, decided that I had spent so many years doing it and, just really didn't know the proper procedure of how to get myself out there so that I would be able to have my own, and then as I started learning and growing, that was when I met my husband. Okay. And so, still in the same mindset, okay, previous relationship didn't work out, didn't really have a whole lot of support there. But then going into another relationship and meeting my husband, and very supportive, very interested in the things that I was doing and, encouraging me. But then there was this different mindset of where I thought that he had to come along and walk beside me, come into my company and work within my organization and do everything how I had learned how to do it. When it comes to significant others, y'all, it's really like a roller coaster ride. When you're a business owner, the other person does not necessarily understand that those things that you go through as an entrepreneur, the things that you have to think about in your mind, whether you have a job or whether you are a full time entrepreneur, it doesn't matter. The mindset of an entrepreneur is different from the mindset of someone who is an employee only. So we just going to go ahead and establish that part right there. All right. The second thing that we want to look at is, well, the next thing that we want to look at is the fact that, this person even though my husband, we dated for 5 years, then we got married, and after getting married, especially, by this point, I'm already two businesses down, and I'm doing my thing, I'm working a job, and I quit my job in 2010, and then my husband ended up going, his job had some layoffs, and it was in our first year of marriage, the following year, that all of this stuff was going on. And I had to like do a double take, like, I don't really know if I want to do this business where someone else is totally dependent on me. And then I don't want to really do this business if you didn't give me the kind of support that I think that I needed. So when it comes to significant others, y'all, listen, other people don't have to go through the day-to-day stuff that you go through. And since they don't want to, some of them just don't want to go through it. And some of them ain't even considered that all of the weight that is on your shoulders to be an entrepreneur in the first place. They have no even mindset to receive that kind of weight, that kind of understanding, like that kind of responsibility or obligations of how you got to keep up with, whatever your service or product is, how you got to make sure you manage all of your systems. If you hire people, keeping up with your employees, keeping up with, all of the marketing pieces that go along with being an entrepreneur. The significant other does not have the capacity to understand all of that all the time. And it doesn't matter if it's a male or female, it doesn't matter who it is. The fact of the matter is, if it's not their business, if they aren't interested in having a business and doing a business, if they're not interested in even supporting your business, the truth of the matter is that we need to just accept the truth. We need to accept the truth that there should not be us pointing the finger. It's your fault that we didn't make it. It's your fault that we didn't do what we needed to do. It's your fault that I didn't achieve what I needed to achieve. That's not something that we should do ever in business. As entrepreneurs, significant others are there in a different role. They are there to establish companionship with us when we want to have that shoulder to cry on, when we want to come to them after we've had a long day in entrepreneurship, working, doing whatever it is that we do. Then we want to have the ability to be able to come and emotionally let go of some stuff. Now, when it comes to you unloading about your entrepreneurship, then you need to go talk to somebody who is another entrepreneur who understands your lingo, who understands your language. Maybe they work in the same field, maybe they deal in the same things that you are doing, but we don't need to unload and unlock on the significant other because their position, their role is different than just somebody who is there to help support us because we have the vision of our businesses and they don't have a vision and they're just working a job. There's nothing wrong with them working a job. The jobs will come in handy in some cases. You never know. I know for certain, for me as an entrepreneur, one of the things that we didn't always have in our businesses is the healthcare plan. And with my husband working, I could depend on the healthcare plan always being in place. So there are advantages, but we have to look at our relationships with whomever we are in relationship with, and we have to look at it and see, is this significant other really the problem, or are we the problem? Am I the problem? Am I the problem? Am I looking at this whole journey of being an entrepreneur wrong? One of the things that I see a lot from having the business school and teaching the undergraduate classes that we have twice a year and now the master's classes is that we run into a lot of people who have challenges with their spouses, they have challenges with their significant other, and they are looking like sideways because the significant other is like, why are you spending so much money in business? Why are you believing into this, this vision of whatever it is that you're trying to do to sell these products or services? Why are you even trying to do something outside of what everybody else in the family is doing? But they tend to get discouraged because they think that the people who is talking to them have to be right in some degree. And it's not that they are right, it's just that they don't have the same mindset, and that's absolutely okay. I cannot tell you how many times in the beginning of my marriage that me and my husband, we really just did not see eye to eye about what I was doing, what the vision was, how I was going to get there. And all of these different challenges that arose, whether it was the mortgage, the car note, paying off debt or whatever it is, taking care of our children. We had 5 kids all together, and now we got 4 and 3. And it's like grandchildren, 3 grandchildren. That's what I was going to say. But anyway, there are so many different life situations that are going to arise when it comes to entrepreneurship. And when it comes to the significant other, they're just not going to understand why you would choose to handle something in business when you got a family matter over here. Why you would choose to ignore going to take care of something with your pastor, your church. Why would you ignore something that is going on even at your job over your business? It's not something that they're going to understand because it's not their vision. I cannot say that enough. I want y'all to say it with me. It's not their vision. Type that down in the comments. It's not their vision. It's my vision. It's my business. And I need to handle my business regardless of what anyone else understands. And that's not to be rude or nasty, but it's just a fact. It's just the truth that everybody is not going to understand the vision. So if everyone is not going to understand the vision, guys, then we got to understand how to love our significant other and how to still have our business be important in our life. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I know y'all out there dealing with this. So listen, type down below in the comments what kind of issues you're having with your significant other. And maybe we'll do another session with some of the coaches and other people at KBBU and have this conversation about, like, how do you resolve these problems? What is it that you would choose to do in a scenario where it's a life and death situation? What would you do? Whether you would go with your business or would you go with your family? Like, what would you do in a situation of, money? What would you do in a situation of health? There are so many questions as entrepreneurs that we have, especially when it comes to loving somebody else. But I want you guys to keep the hope alive. I want you guys to remember it is okay for your significant other not to understand. And it's absolutely okay for you to keep doing what you do because God has put that inside of you. So if you know that you know that you know that what you are doing is right and you are doing it for the cause of what God put in your heart, whether you were in the relationship before you started your business, or you were in the relationship as you started the business, or you were in the relationship after you started your business. Doesn't matter what stage you're in the relationship with the significant other. The only thing that matters is that you understand there are some decisions that you're going to have to make, and you're going to have to let the significant other be okay with what they have voiced their opinion to you, and you're going to have to make a choice for your business that may not align all the time with your significant other. Because how are you going to make it if you keep on quitting? If you keep on listening to everybody else's voice? How is your business going to ever flourish? How are you going to get to the point where you are blossoming and growing and being exposed all over the world and your business is doing what it's supposed to do? How can you achieve the vision if it's always where you're listening to everybody else and all of the other chatter instead of what's in your heart? Not this heart, this heart. What is in your heart, and how will you make decisions for the rest of your business life? That's all I have for the day. I hope that y'all learned a little something. I hope that you liked it. If you did, go ahead and subscribe to KB Michelle Green on YouTube. Go ahead and become a friend of ours on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, everywhere. Wherever we are, connect with us. LinkedIn, we are everywhere. And let us know what you think about this video. Let us know what's going on with you and your significant other as you are an entrepreneur. Let us understand what kind of challenges that you're dealing with, because I'm telling y'all, we got some answers. We got some answers. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've had some experiences. And you may be able to possibly get your prayer answered. I'm telling you today. But like I said, go ahead, like, subscribe, and share, and let us know what you think. All right. We'll talk to you next Wednesday. This is KBBU Behind the Scenes with Michelle Green. Good night.